ridiculous. You are. You are. You're crazy.
Yes, I'm not going to argue with you.
All right, look, the great Arcata Ferndale cross-country, Arcata to Ferndale, right? Cross-country kinetic sculpture race.
Yes.
How did it go this year?
Remember how bad it's been in the past?
Yes.
Remember how the last time I did it, they'd taken down the finish line before we crossed it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
This year, they'd taken down the starting line.
So how did this affect?
It was 2.5 hours after the race began that we reached the starting line. My only excuse, folks, is temporary insanity. Take a look, judge for yourself. It's probably best not to think about it, but I couldn't help it. There I was in the town square in Arcata, California on Kinetic Race Day. I had sworn repeatedly that I would never return, but I did. Once again, I was wearing another silly uniform and looking for Hobart Brown, the leader of my team. Sure, these look like they work. You see, Hobart's machines never work. Back in 1981, the first year I did the race, Hobart's kinetic sculpture was a 2,000-pound bus whose propulsion system fell apart 100 feet after the race began. So we dragged it 37 miles. Hobart? I can't help but notice that there's no vehicle inside.
Well,
Is there something you want to tell me? Then came 1982. The bus was 400 pounds heavier. The weather was truly awful, featuring gale-force winds and monsoon rains.
I wish you could see the machine.
Me too. Let's hope we see it before the race starts. Tell me it's not going to 1983's race featured a 3,000-pound lunatic jungle gym of a vehicle. You guessed it, it didn't work.
Seriously, you watch it. We've broken a tradition. You're actually going to see us drive out of here, just head on down that road.
Well, it is downhill. Then last year, I figured I'd had enough. I skipped the race, but I missed it, and I came back to try and figure out why. This year, things looked really bad. In fact, as the starting time approached, our vehicle was nowhere in sight.
You're taking this far too hard, Steve. You're really getting carried away.
Now, a kinetic sculpture is supposed to be a moving piece of art that you can race. This year, there were more than 40 entries, many of them built for efficiency and speed, which they displayed while dashing across the starting line. Incidentally, this was the last time we saw the rest of the racers today. Hobart. It's been an hour.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I really am sorry.
Yeah, I am too. He called it the Quagmire Queen. As it was being towed up the highway toward Arcata, you could hear it coming for miles. It sounded like a runaway trash can and looked like a demented circus wagon. It was enormous, 14 feet high, 40 feet long, 4,000 pounds, 2 tons.
You know, at the very, very worst that could happen right now, the very worst has already happened. The worst that could happen right now is the fact that we would have to pull it, as we've done before.
As we have done so many times before.
But we do know how.
Yeah, we have practice. All right, let's do it. Whoa! Our first break-in. Yeah, keep going. Come on. Let's at least cross the starting line before we make our first repair. I don't know, maybe I'm sentimental.
It would really be dumb to break down right now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
After what we've been through.
Please, for your life, please!
Meanwhile, 5 miles ahead, many racers were already crossing the sand dunes along the beach, and the leaders were taking on Dead Man's Drop. What we have here is our first major breakdown. We laughingly call our propulsion system what's left of it. We're now attempting the push test to see if we can push it. We can, and will. 37 miles. 37 miles. Now, amazingly enough, despite all our problems, we were actually ahead of another sculpture, but just briefly. In short order, the Quagmire Queen developed a terrible grinding noise. Some team members lost heart and consciousness, and a sense of impending doom overwhelmed everybody. Well, almost everybody.
Our intention was really that it would work, you know, and it did that for a while. Wasn't it fun, the wind blowing out?
Oh, it was great. That 200 feet, unbelievable.
Far ahead, many other teams were already done for the day and pulling into Eureka Mall. As might be expected, some were deeply concerned about Hobart, the founder, the man, the legend.
No, I don't know.
He's crazy. He started all of this.
He's not into the speed. He's into the drama.
As darkness began to fall, Hobart decided to take a penalty and bypass the beach. He was trying to save the machine, but it didn't seem to matter much. The thing was just too big. We would never finish.
That's a good sport.
Yeah, never complain either. Day one finally ended for us at 10:30 that night.
Onward and upward!
Imagine that. Imagine being in first place.
Hobart, it is my belief, my sincere belief, that today shapes up as potentially the worst day of my life.
Actually, there was one ray of hope. It looked like we wouldn't be in the race much longer. Our machine was on the verge of becoming history.
Parts of the machine are falling off.
The idea is that all sculptures are supposed to float across 2 miles of Humboldt Bay. About half of them had tried, with varying degrees of success. But by the time we arrived, the sheriff was turning everybody back because of high winds and dangerous conditions.
I closed it down one other time for safety, and today I'm closing it down for safety.
It's a bit rough, and they've all advised us not to.
If you think it's safe, you should do it. If you think it's crazy, you should do it.
The water entry of the Quagmire Queen.
As we were being towed across the bay, I couldn't help thinking that the worst part of the day still lay ahead. Things began to really look bleak as we left behind the last vestiges of civilization for the 10-mile trek to Crab Park.
It's a commitment that you make from the very start. And when you go off that line, it's like you will get it there. You will move that machine.
Unfortunate.
Close personal friend, he's the designated lunatic of the race.
1, 2, 3.
10 o'clock at night. No food, no drink for hours, and the wheel won't budge.
That's what we wanted to stop to fix that Hobart wouldn't let us do. Yes, it does.
Start moving. Well, yes, it is.
Oh, yes.
All right, now we have a turn here. Watch the turn. We've got to make it. We've been through too much together. The amazing thing about it is, it's this much fun every year.
Exhausted, we stumbled into Crab Park at 11 p.m. Day 3 began just like all the others. There was a loud noise, a lot of cheering, and then everybody left us behind. Surprisingly, though, things started out pretty easy. With a trailing wind, we sailed across the slough more or less under our own power. Then a few miles later, we took our beast for a short stroll across a shallow stretch of the Eel River. But up ahead, big trouble. A steep incline to get out of the river, and then the messy, muddy muck known as Slimy Slope.
No, you got it! Go! Go! Watch it, guys.
At Slimy Slope, we finally discovered why Hobart called this the Quagmire Queen. She rolled through mud like it wasn't there. God save the Queen.
Yes, yes!
Somebody said to me once that the logical extension of the way we participate in this race is that some year we'll come dressed as slaves pushing a pyramid. What do you think?
Maybe we are training for that.
You like the idea, right? Am I right?
Idea.
You see my point? Now, I said earlier that I came back this year to figure out why I missed all this, and I still don't know. What I do know is that I like Hobart Brown, the artist, a lot, and I'd like to kill Hobart, the engineer. And I also like the fact that these people do this even if there aren't any cameras around, even if there isn't any glory left at the end. And even if they do finish dead last every time, they always finish. Good luck, Hobart, and goodbye.
Fantastic.
Stupid.
Are you going back next year?
Oh, of course not, David.
Oh, Steve, what do you mean, no? We're going to remember what you just said. I'll
go back if you go with me. Yes, yes. So I
notice the support you didn't get?
I haven't figured out why I go back, but I figured out how I can go back.
Yeah.
You forget the bad and remember the good. It's what hope is based on.
Steve, great. Thank you. We'll be back. Next half hour, Janet Daly.